There he is. What's going on, B? You good?
I'm good, man.
How are you, man? Take a seat. Listen, this is your life.
Yeah, I'm feeling amazing. I think it's a fantastic moment for me, for my family. I feel immense joy.
There is a version of Bukayo Saka that the Premier League came to fear. A player who, by the midpoint of last season, had contributed a goal or an assist every single time he played 90 minutes of football.
Saka looks towards goal, curls it, oh yes! What a way to score your first goal for Arsenal.
A winger so reliable, so consistent, so difficult to stop that opposition managers built entire defensive game plans around nullifying just one man.
Tinelli to Saka. Fantastic goal from young Bukayo Saka. It's his third of the season.
And that's Saka! Thumping goal for Arsenal. Good stuff from Arsenal. A great goal. Brilliantly finished by Bukayo Saka.
And then there is this season. Same player, same club, same position. But the numbers. The numbers tell a completely different story. Goal contributions per 90 last season, at this same point in the calendar, sat at 1.07. This season, 0.4. That is not a dip. That is a 63% decline in output from one of the most important players in the Premier League. Today, we are going to try to understand why.
Oh, he saved it! Donnarumma saves! It's poor Bukayo Saka who misses the crucial one.
To understand the scale of what has changed, you first have to understand what Bukayo Saka represented entering this season. He was not a player managing expectations. He was a player who had already exceeded them for 3 consecutive campaigns. At 23 years old, he had already established himself as one of the 2 or 3 best right wingers in European football. Not just in terms of output, but in terms of process. The way he creates space, the way he draws fouls, the intelligence of his movement.
Smith Rowe for Saka. Oh! Whether he meant it or not.
Still Saka, and Kane does defend, but Saka again is 3-0! Oh, they're running rampant in the North London derby here, Arsenal!
These were not things that looked sustainable. They were sustained season after season to a level that genuinely surprised even his most ardent supporters. So when we look at where he was at this exact point last season, 5 goals, 10 assists, 1,268 minutes, we are looking at a player operating at the peak of his powers.
Tavares, Bukayo Saka scores! That is a sweet Arsenal goal.
Saka bides his time and scores!
A goal contribution rate of 1.07 per 90 minutes puts him in conversation with the best attacking players in the league, not just the best wingers, the best players. And Arsenal, at that same point, looked like a team capable of ending their long wait for a title. The understanding between Saka and the players around him, particularly through the right channel, had reached a level of almost automatic quality. Passes before the defender could adjust. Runs timed to arrive exactly when the ball did. The kind of combination play that is less instinct and more shared language. The expectation entering this season, then, was continuation. Progression, even. What arrived instead was something nobody fully anticipated. Let's put the numbers directly in front of us and be rigorous about what they are actually saying.
Underneath it as well. Saka! Beautifully hit!
Saka has played more this season. 1,567 minutes compared to 1,268 at the same stage. He is available. He is fit. He is on the pitch. That matters because some statistical declines are explained simply by absence, by injury, rotation, or suspension. That is not the story here. This is a player who has been selected consistently, trusted by his manager, and starting matches.
I think he represents this club in the best possible way, and I think he's really likable, really humble.
Goals. relatively stable. 5 last season, 4 this season. Not a dramatic difference on its own. And then we hit assists. And this is where the conversation changes entirely. 10 assists at this point last season, 3 this season. On a per 90 basis, that is a decline from 0.71 to 0.17, a 76% drop in creative output. 76%. That number demands explanation. Combined, his goal contributions per 90 have fallen from 1.07 to 0.4. That 63% decline is not a slump. In statistical terms, across the kind of sample size we are working with here, over 1,500 minutes of football, that is a structural change in output. Now here is where it starts to get genuinely interesting, because you might expect that a drop of this magnitude would be accompanied by a player taking fewer shots, touching the ball less, being squeezed out of games. But shots per 90 have barely moved. 3.26 last season, 2.87 this season. A slight reduction, but nothing close to explaining the output drop. Crossing numbers, almost identical. Shot accuracy, actually a marginal improvement. So we have a player who is getting into similar positions, attempting a similar volume of actions, and producing dramatically less. The volume is there, the efficiency is not. That distinction between volume and efficiency is where the real analysis begins. In football analytics, there is a temptation to treat all output declines the same. A player who stops getting into dangerous positions is a different problem from a player who gets into dangerous positions and produces nothing from them. Saka, the data suggests, is the second kind of problem. His conversion rate has dropped from 10.9% to 8%, meaningful, but not catastrophic. It doesn't explain a 76% drop in assists. What the numbers point to is a disconnect between Saka's actions and what follows from them. He is still creating opportunities, he is still putting the ball into dangerous areas. But the chain, from Saka's contribution to a goal, is breaking down somewhere between his involvement and the outcome. This is a crucial distinction, because it means the problem is not simply Saka, or at least, it is not only Saka. Think about what an assist actually captures. It is not just a pass. It is a pass that results in a goal, which means it is measuring the quality of Saka's delivery and the quality of the finishing that follows. Both have to work. Last season, at this same point, Arsenal's attacking unit was converting Saka's chances at a high rate. The relationship between what he offered and what the team produced from it was functioning. This season, that relationship, for reasons we'll explore, appears to have broken down. And that raises a fundamental question. Is Saka declining, or is the system around him declining? Is this a player problem or a team context problem? The honest answer, as is so often the case in football, is probably both. But the balance between those two explanations matters enormously. Let's work through the most credible explanations, not to force a single conclusion, but to lay out what the evidence actually supports. One possibility is that Saka is being asked to do something different. Not explicitly, the position is still right winger, but in terms of responsibility within the system. Last season, Saka's role allowed him to operate with considerable freedom in the final third. His job, in simple terms, was to get the ball in dangerous areas and make things happen.
Saka, Cooper's with him, Saka scores!
He's going to have a go. Oh, that's turned into a useful pass! And Bukayo Saka!
This season, there are moments, clear in the footage, where Saka is carrying a heavier defensive burden. His recovery runs are more frequent. His starting positions in possession occasionally deeper. If a winger is defending more, he has less time in the attacking positions where he is most effective. This would not necessarily reduce his shot volume dramatically, but it would affect the quality of those positions. And it would reduce the number of instances where he can set up teammates because he is arriving later, or from less dangerous starting points. The second hypothesis is closely related. Arsenal's system, the way they build, the way they advance the ball, the way they arrive in the final third, may have evolved in ways that suit Saka less. Last season, Arsenal's right channel was one of the most reliable attacking corridors in the Premier League. The understanding between Saka, the right back, and the central players around him created a repeating pattern that opponents recognized but could rarely stop. This season, that channel appears to have changed. Whether through the movement of other players, changes in the structure of the press, or simply a different emphasis from the coaching staff, the flow of the ball to and through Saka's area has been less consistent. Less ball in dangerous moments means fewer chances to contribute, regardless of what Saka does when he gets it. Every elite player in the Premier League faces the same long-term challenge. Once you become a known quantity, opponents build specifically to stop you. Saka had been so consistently devastating in 2023-24 and 2024-25 that it would be remarkable if Premier League managers had not studied him obsessively. And the data supports the idea that he is facing more deliberate, more organized defensive attention this season. More double teams on the right, earlier covering shadows, defensive shapes specifically designed to deny him the half space he exploits most effectively. The fact that his shot volume has remained relatively stable despite this suggests Saka is still finding ways into shooting positions. But the quality of those positions, and the subsequent outcomes, may have been reduced. Finally, and this may be the most uncomfortable hypothesis for anyone wanting a clean narrative, there is the question of what Arsenal are doing with the chances Saka creates. An assist only registers when a goal is scored. Saka may be delivering balls into dangerous areas at a rate not dramatically different from last season. But if Arsenal's forwards are converting those chances at a lower rate, Saka's assist numbers collapse, through no direct fault of his own. If this hypothesis holds weight, the decline in Saka's numbers is partially a reflection of a team-wide issue. The clinical edge that made last season's Arsenal so dangerous has been blunted, and the player most affected statistically is the one whose output is most dependent on teammates completing the job. Saka does not exist in isolation. No player does. And it is worth situating his numbers within what Arsenal have looked like as a collective this season. Arsenal have been a more cautious team this season. The attacking exuberance that defined their best moments in 2024-25, the pressing, the speed of transition, the willingness to commit bodies forward, has been tempered. Whether by design, by the evolution of Mikel Arteta's thinking, or by the demands of a multi-front season, the team has looked more considered in possession, more controlled. For a player like Saka, whose best work comes from chaos, from transitions, from quick combinations in tight spaces, from the freedom to improvise, a more structured, more deliberate attacking approach may genuinely limit the environments he thrives in. It is also worth noting the performances of the players around him. When Saka's creative partners are functioning well, when the strikers are making the runs that his passes are designed for, his assist numbers are naturally higher. When those relationships are less fluid, those passes go unrewarded. None of this is to deflect responsibility from Saka entirely. He is an elite player.
Saka must be one of those guys.
For sure. Yeah.
How good is this guy? Is he world class?
World class. I said to him, I want to see you in the Ballon d'Or.
Elite players find ways to produce even in imperfect systems. But context matters in statistical analysis. It always has. And the context around Saka this season has been demonstrably different from the one that allowed him to produce at that extraordinary 1.07 contribution per 90 rate 12 months ago. So, what is actually happening to Bukayo Saka? The honest answer is, probably several things simultaneously. His volume metrics, shots, crosses, touches in dangerous areas suggest a player still getting into the right positions, still working, still pressing. The engine is not broken. But his efficiency, the goals, the assists, the contributions that turn possession into points, has declined significantly. And the gap between his actions and their outcomes is wide enough that it cannot be explained by variance alone. The 76% decline in assists per 90 is real. The 63% decline in goal contributions is real. At 1,567 minutes, this is not a small sample problem. What is also real is that this is a 23-year-old player, one who has not previously shown any indication that this level of decline was coming. A player who, in isolated moments this season, still looks like the footballer who was tormenting Premier League defences 12 months ago. The quality has not disappeared. It is, for now, less consistent, less frequent, less decisive. Whether that is a system problem, a role problem, a team context problem, or a genuine dip in the player's own standards, the data, on its own, cannot fully answer. What it can do is raise the question clearly. And the question, the one that matters for Arsenal, for Arteta, and for anyone watching this team's ambitions over the rest of the season, is whether this Saka is the new Saka. Or whether the version we saw last season is still in there, waiting for the conditions that allow him to be that player again. The numbers have told us what has happened. The next few months will tell us why.